Alright all, and welcome back to a new video and another weekend preview as we look ahead at the Cheltenham November meeting and also of course the Morgiana meeting at Punchestown over Saturday and Sunday. The Cheltenham meeting is Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It is currently Thursday morning, so looking to get this video out to you guys. It's going to be a mixed match of different races really from all the days. I haven't got a real coherent order to it all, but you know, I think there's 7 races I'm covering from Cheltenham and maybe 2 or 3 from Punchestown. So it could be a long one, but hopefully you guys do enjoy, and if you do so, make sure to give it a like and let me know down below. As you can see, the moustache has grown a little bit further on since last week. Again, as I say, November link in the description if any of you guys feel generous enough to donate. It would be really appreciated. Going on to Friday's action at the Cheltenham November meeting, we're going to cover 2 races because they're the 2 races that I've really got fancies in. It's the 2 mile handicap chase at 150, and a horse I put up for the showcase meeting in October was On the Slopes, and he ran quite a nice race behind Rouge Vif. I think he was entitled to need the run. He needed a few runs last year to get himself really wound up. I'd like to hope this year maybe that run will have put him right. He's been dropped £1 for that effort, which I think is lenient enough considering he was a respectable 5th. Rouge Vif is turning into a champion chase contender, as for this horse is still just in handicaps, and I think the favourite Magic Saint is easily enough opposable really at the price. Personally, I think he's quite short for what he is. This horse is coming in there around 9 to 2. It's an awkward price because it's not an each way price, but I think I will back him. That being said, I think he's a good price, and I just think there's better to come from this horse. I do obviously love that Simply the Bet's Imperial Aura stuff. I don't need to bore you guys with those details anymore. This horse was 3rd to them at Trials Day last year before progressing and winning 2 after that. So I hope he can get the job done for Chris Gordon, Dickie Johnson in the saddle. The other one of major note on the Friday is the cross-country race over 3-6. Easy's Land comes over, Tiger Roll comes over. It's great to see the 2 of them run against each other. Tiger Roll's having to give Easy's Land £4. I think Easy's Land's the most likely winner, but he's 4 to 6. 4 to 6 ain't no price I'll be taking for any type of cross-country race personally. And I think his stablemate has a chance in this Vino Royale at 20 to 1. I think it's not a bad each way price at all. There seems to be this clamour for, you know, kind of horses in Ireland and England, you know, kind of like supposed class horses in inverted commas going over cross-country banks. And first time out, we must back them all. And yet none of them win first time over the banks. Like I don't have specific kind of statistics on it, but I can assure you there's an awful lot of horses. You know, Yanworth was the main one from last year. Poor old Yanworth, who's no longer with us. You're there going, like, it was just, he's the class horse, he must win his first time over the cross-country banks. And it doesn't happen as easily as it seems. And I think Potter's Corner is one of these horses, personally, for me. Obviously, the first 2 in the market are cross-country vets, but I think this Vino Royale's a vet as well, even though he's only 5 years old. He's running a lot of cross-country races over in France. The French have a good record in this race. You'd only have to look back at Urgent Turgargan, Diesel Dallier, and obviously Easy's Land last December and last March. So I'm going to take a chance on him. Sam Twiston Davis in the saddle, progressive horse. I personally think he potentially might be able to finish in front of Tiger Roll. But I know that's a big statement. I'm not saying he can beat Easy's Land. Maybe Tiger Roll will stuff him as well. But I think with the weights difference, with a young horse, I think Tiger Roll's just there to have a nice spin round, hopefully get him wound up for end of season targets, and maybe this horse will be more tuned up. Moving on to the Saturday action. The Saturday action is great action at Cheltenham, starting off the 2 mile novice chase at 140. Quite hard to oppose Seuil Raffles, but he's not a horse that's particularly done it for me. And instead I'm going to take a chance on this Eldorado Allen for Colin Tizard and Robbie Parr. He beat Stormy Ireland on chase debut. Now the form of that isn't brilliant because Stormy Ireland does absolutely detest fences. I can't understand why they're trying her over it. She's quite a small filly. Small mare even, and I just don't see the point in it. But, that being said, Tizard's horses were running stink at the time, and the fact that he won must be upgraded to some degree. And I think he's got a chance in this. He was always highly regarded, and he hasn't quite put it together yet in his career, but maybe chasing is really his game, and this year we might see him scale a few heights and actually run well. He acts well around Sandown, so maybe a few of the big novice races around there might be seen to good effect for him later down the year. But it'll be interesting to see how he goes. I think he's worth a chance at the prices at around 7-2. The 2:15 is the big race, the Paddy Power Handicap, or Paddy Power Gold Cup it's called, I think now. It used to be the Bet Victor, before then it was the Paddy Power. It's been called many a thing over the years. And I'm going to be going with my man, Simply the Bets, in this. I've come full circle on this race. He was a bigger price last week, 2 weeks ago. I think an awful lot of people obviously got on that. I don't like after timing, but I was one of them because I thought he was a big price at the time. He was double figures, and he's been shortened into 9-2. It's getting skimpy enough for a handicap of this nature, but therefore I kind of slightly wavered off him, but then kind of came back to him. I just think he wins. I think they hold him in so a high regard, and hopefully this evening on the champ.ie, I think I'm turning up on one of their podcasts. Hopefully they're talking to Gavin Sheehan. Barry has got an interview with Gavin Sheehan, which is great. I'm really hoping that Gavin can further boost my hopes for this horse. I think they hold him in such high regard. If he wants to be a Grade 1 horse by the end of the season, he'd want to be winning this, to be honest, or certainly being right there, maybe with a horse like Mr. Fisher or something. I think he is the most likely winner in the race. He's got the form lines from last year. He was a really progressive horse last year. And maybe if you wanted one to chase him home, I wouldn't put you off back in Happy Diva each way at around 10-12-1. I think she's a pretty safe bet to probably finish in the places, but maybe a bit vulnerable win-wise. The 250 is the 3 mile listed handicap hurdle, won back in the day by Anteros, one of my favourites. I'm going to take a chance at one at a big each way price in this weather front for Ian Jardine and Conor O'Farrell. I think he's around 16-1. The Jam Man hasn't been declared this morning, which was the big news from this race. I was dubious whether he was going to come over or not. They've decided against it, which is completely fair. So this horse is running off 131, and the reason I fancy him is I think this step up in trip should see him to good effect. He was second to Chapman's Hype at Kelso over 2 mile 5 on reappearance, before finishing only a 5-length 8th behind Captain Tom Catt at the Open meeting in October. That showed him off to have decent enough course form, and I think this step up in trip is well worth it. This horse used to be trained by Karen McClintock. She's taken a year or two out of the game, I think, to work on a mental health, so I hope she's faring all right. And this horse has gone to Ian Jardine as a result. He's off a mark 131. He's in off a featherweight for Conor O'Farrell, and I don't think, now the Jam Man's not in there, I don't think there's any blots. I think T Clipper is probably a respectable favourite, possibly the best of these, but I don't think there's anything to be overly scared of. Hopefully we get 4 places on the day, and this horse can run well at a bigger price. Moving on to the Sunday card at Cheltenham, and obviously the Sunday card we haven't got the official declarations for, so just do bear that in mind. The Shloer Chase on Sunday is a cracking race between Defi de Seuil, Put the Kettle on, Rouge Vif on paper. Duke de Geneva is also in there as well. Defi de Seuil has been quite weak in the market, which does kind of temper my enthusiasm that he's just not going to run. If he is going to run, I think he's a cracking bet at the moment. He's moved out to 5-2 with Sky Bet, which, as I say, in theory sounds great. I don't know whether he's going to run though, and I might be looking at this tomorrow when the decks come out and go, well, of course he went to 5-2. He's not going to run. But if he does run, he'd be my selection in this race, which may actually come as a surprise to some of you, because I was so against him last year. I kind of quite wanted to take him on, and took him on in the champion chase, and I thought Chacun Pour Soi would beat him, and with the way things turned out, probably Chacun Pour Soi would have beaten him, but, that's unfortunately coulda, woulda, shouldas. I think he's the class act in this race. I don't think the Arkle form from last year is that great. Rouge Vif obviously won a handicap around Cheltenham at the Open meeting, the same race St. Calvados won though, and then St. Calvados until the Ryanair didn't really turn out to be much over 2 miles. I don't know about Rouge Vif. I find it hard to quantify his form. Put the kettle on. Look, she's a really game mare. She loves Cheltenham. She loves jumping. And if there's chinks in the armour, she's the first one to expose them. But she's not a horse that I, for a second, can really see being top class. I just can't see it personally. I can't see the champion chase angle with this horse whatsoever. I thought the Arca last year was pretty weak. I think the main protagonists didn't fire. As many people will know, Notebook and Cashback were really poor. Brewing Up the Storm looked like he was getting into the race, made a mistake and fell. Obviously, Moyer Banri was travelling extremely well when she fell. I think she would have been banging the mix, actually looking back on the race many a time. So I think Defi is the class act in this race, and if he runs, I'll be backing him, and I think he's actually a fairly juicy price as it is. But I do confess that I'm not sure whether the price is indicative that he won't run. The Greatwood Hurdle is a very trappy handicap, as it always is. I'll take one at an each-way price here in Hunter's Call for Ollie Murphy. I'm hoping this horse will run in this race. Ollie hasn't been in the greatest form in the last few weeks, but hopefully the horses may turn the corner soon enough. I'm sure he'll have these horses that he's running at Cheltenham to be running to their best ability. And this horse is a class act, really. He won a handicap hurdle for Ollie Murphy on his stable debut, beating Silver Streak by 3 lengths at Ascot a couple of years ago. Then he had his injury problems, came back at Seuil this summer and went on the drift, went on a complete walk, 3-1 out to 13-2, and still bolted up before finishing 4th in the Galway Hurdle. I think that's up there with some of the best form in this, actually, that Galway Hurdle run behind Aramon. It wouldn't surprise me if he ran a good race at a good price. Looking over at the Punchestown races, the reason I've left them to last is I don't think there are much betting heats, to be honest. I think it's more one to just sit back and hope for the best, and certainly on Sunday I'll be hoping for the best with some of my anti-post selections for the Cheltenham Festival running. I think on Saturday, I was a little bit disappointed to see Andy Dufresne wasn't entered in the race that used to be called the Craddockstown. It's now under a new sponsorship. I think I'd probably take Darver Star in that race, though, ahead of Felix Deji. I think Darver Star did it pretty nicely on Chase debut. He warmed to the task, a little bit like latest exhibition. Like, he wasn't jumping brilliantly to start with, but kind of warmed to the task and ended up doing it really well. Now, the form of that race is pretty suspect. There's no getting away from it, but he was such a good progressive hurdler last year, you'd be dubious to take him on completely. And I think he could run well. Felix Deji's jumping left an awful lot to be desired, I thought, even when accounting for a really, really poor field at Killarney, I believe it was. On the Sunday, on the Saturday, it is remiss me not to mention that Styrian Forlonge is making his Chase debut. That would be really, really interesting. He's a horse I certainly wouldn't be giving up on, especially over staying trips. Maybe Cheltenham's not his bag, but I think there's plenty of prizes to be won with this horse. And I think he ran superbly in the Supreme, given how many lengths he gave away jumping each hurdle. So I think he's still one to keep on the right side of. And I'm really hoping he might make a winning Chase debut on Saturday, but I assume he'll be a short price as a result. On Sunday, as I say, they're not really betting heats from a Sunday perspective, but I'm really interested in this Morgiana Hurdle. Personally, I don't know why I say it, but I don't think Abacadabras is going to run. I have no proof, I have no evidence to back that up. I just think it's quite soon after that Down Royal run, and they weren't happy with him after the Down Royal run, so I thought he was going to be put away to Leopardstown. He acts pretty well around Leopardstown, and he'd run in the it used to be the Ryanair Hurdle, now the Matheson Hurdle, on the 29th. I thought that would be his next target. It'll be interesting to see whether he does take up his engagement or not. I think Sam Watt definitely will run. I think Saldier will run. Course Sublime will probably run, and Jason the Militant will probably run. Jason the Militant, obviously one of my horses to follow. Hopefully he can run a decent race and pick up some prize money like he did in the WKD. But it's all about Sam Wah here. We put him up at 20-1 back in September. If you haven't watched that Cheltenham video, do go back and see it. If you think I'm lying or anything, it was back early September. I actually put him up on Twitter back in April at 25s, but if it's not a YouTube video, it doesn't count. So Sam Watt, 20-1. Hopefully, if he wins the Morgiana and wins the Morgiana anyway impressively. He'll be down to a 5-1 shot, I think. He's already down to 15-2, which is a skimpy price, I believe, but considering what he's achieved, I'd have been giving him 15-2 after he won a Morgiana, but that's the way anti-post betting is, I suppose. He shortened when Abracadabras disappointed in the WKD, and hopefully that'll be the case again. He might shorten in again, and our 20-1 might look pretty tasty at that stage. And also, the big man, latest exhibition, running in the Florida Pearl Novices Chase. I think he's odds on. It's not much of a betting proposition for the weekend, but again, it'll be really interesting and really hoping to endorse his RSA claims. We put him up at 16-1 for the RSA Chase. He's now as short as 10-1. And I think if he wins on the weekend, he probably becomes an 8-1 horse. I think an awful lot of people have fallen in love with this horse, actually. He's a real old-fashioned staying chaser. Also, it's great to see, like, I know I'm a Paul Nolan fanboy, so, like, take everything I say with a bit of a pinch of salt, but it is great to see a guy like Paul Nolan have a horse that's potentially going to go to the top in Grade 1s over 3 miles. It's great for the game. It wouldn't be any different if it was, for me, if it was Gavin Cromwell or one of these other trainers, rather than Willie, rather than Gordon, rather than Joseph, this sort of stuff. You have somebody else have this really top horse, and I really, really hope latest exhibition could get the job done on Sunday even, and we can start looking forward to probably the 3-mile novice chase around Christmas time at Leopardstown to see this horse again. But he's a horse, you guys know how high I hold him in my list of regard, I suppose. So it's going to be a nervy watch on Sunday, watching San Juan latest exhibition. But it's one I'm going to look forward to, and hopefully they can both endorse their claims. Anyway, if you guys did enjoy this video, please do give it a like and subscribe to the channel down below. As always, I think we're now 45 subscribers away from 2,000, which is absolutely huge. And of course, let me know your selections for the weekend down below, whether it is at Cheltenham, whether it is at Punchestown. Are you excited to see the likes of San Juan latest exhibition? I know I am. So do let me know down below if you have a few winners for the weekend or any thoughts indeed about any of the races. And until next time, where we'll be covering the Betfair Chase next week, which should be a fascinating clash at Haydock. Stay safe, stay well, land a few bets, and I'll see you guys then. Cheers.